Okay, thank you everybody for joining. I know there are some more people intending to join us in a few minutes, but meanwhile we are recording this for those who are having technical problems today getting on the internet. This is my name is John Coonrod. I'm the co-founder and coordinator of the movement, and this is a very important call. Sarah, do you want to welcome everyone?
Bonjour à tout le monde, merci de vous joindre à nous. Nous enregistrons cet appel comme vous l'avez vu et John nous présente, il est le cofondateur et le coordinateur du mouvement et vous remercie de vous joindre à nous pour cet appel très important aujourd'hui.
So I'm going to give a short introduction. The purpose of this call is really to create a new future for our organization. And I will explain that in just a moment if you haven't read the webpage on our website about this. Sarah or Pascal?
John fera une brève introduction pour commencer et juste pour dire que l'objectif de cet appel est de créer un nouvel avenir pour notre organisation.
So the Movement for Community-Led Development was launched in 2015. We now have more than 1,500 community-based organizations, more than 70 INGOs in the movement, and 17 national chapters.
Le mouvement pour le développement piloté par la communauté a été lancé en 2015. Nous avons plus que 1500 organisations civiles et 70 organisations internationales non gouvernementales et 17 chapitres nationaux.
We established this with 5 goals: voice and agency for women, youth, and marginalized groups in local decision-making, adequate community finance that is a fair share of the national budget, and good democratic local governance, quality public services, and the resources and information communities need to achieve resilience.
Nous avons 5 objectifs. Numéro 1, voix et autonomie pour des femmes, les jeunes et tous les groupes marginalisés. Deuxièmement, le financement communautaire adéquat. Troisième, c'est la bonne gouvernance locale. Quatrième, les services publics de qualité. Et cinquième, résilience.
Merci. So at the time we were launched, it was a very optimistic time in the world. The world had made great progress on the Millennium Development Goals and was adopting some very ambitious goals for 2030.
L'époque où nous avons été lancés était une période très optimiste dans le monde. Nous adoptions des ambitions très grandes pour les objectifs du 2030.
Then COVID happened. So when COVID struck and outside people were taken away from villages, community leaders stepped forward to protect their neighbors.
Puis le coronavirus est arrivé et durant la pandémie, que les gens d'extérieur ont été enlevés des villages, des communautés, on a vu que les leaders communautaires se sont avancés.
That led to very rapid growth in the movement as community leaders came to our platform to connect with one another and have collective voice.
Ce qui a conduit à une croissance rapide du mouvement où les leaders communautaires venant sur notre plateforme pour se connecter et pour apprendre de l'un à l'autre.
The other thing that happened in 2020 was a huge movement for justice, racial justice. The Black Lives Matter movement, not only in the US, but movements for racial justice in many parts of the world.
L'autre chose qui s'est produite en 2020, c'était un énorme mouvement pour la justice raciale, le mouvement aux États-Unis qui s'appelle Black Lives Matter. C'était un mouvement dans le monde entier, des mouvements pour la justice raciale.
These two factors came together and forced people in. If you could mute whoever just joined. You're echoing, thank you. These two issues, a reckoning of how deeply ingrained racist ideas are in society and in the process of international development, as well as the demonstration of the power of community leaders, has really created a new moment for development and for community-led development.
Ces deux facteurs se sont combinés et ont forcé les gens à reconnaître à quel point les idées racistes sont profondément ancrées dans la société et dans le développement international et ont montré le pouvoir des leaders communautaires, des dirigeants communautaires, et cela a créé un nouveau moment pour le développement piloté par la communauté.
One of the outcomes is that the biggest bilateral donors, certainly USAID and other bilateral donors, are really starting to commit themselves to support community organizations.
L'un des résultats est que les plus grands donateurs bilatéraux, notamment USAID, ont commencé à s'engager à soutenir les organisations communautaires. And John, I think Paul might be here now. Might do a better job than me.
Okay, so I don't see. I don't see the little translation. As host, can you start the translation? I think maybe you have to.
Oh.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yes, but I don't hear you on the translate. I don't see the translation. Did you come in using your translator link?
No. I'll go to our interpreter.
I think I can add him as a new one, maybe.
Okay, try that. Although I would think his email could have, because he was already in there as the translator. Oh, there we are, translation available.
Yeah, I had to add yesterday too.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Thank you for telling us. So can you give, I will go back to the slide on translation. So.
Okay.
Pour écouter en français, cliquez ici.
Yeah.
Okay, so USAID and other bilaterals have made this commitment to support. I just was at a meeting in the US Senate last night. I spoke to Sam Power. She is still committed to this. So this is a very special time, and it has created a big opportunity for the movement. There is opportunity knocking. We need to seize this moment. So we launched a process, and we are launching it today with you, with an overall goal to fully establish a new values-based organizational structure for the movement that's inclusive, equitable, accountable, transparent, and fundable at much higher levels by the end of 2023. So that is this collective project we are all going to be part of. If you choose to contribute to it, we want your thinking in this process. We began in last month with a small representative group from all of our regions, and with some outside experts informing new organizational networks. We had a 2 mornings design meeting, and it did not identify the answer to the question, what structure? Rather, those meetings came up with certain principles people in the movement expressed that they wanted in our future. They wanted not a traditional headquarters-driven, Washington-based global structure. What they want is a network of networks with no traditional headquarters. The second is that they want to stop using the word chapters, because the word chapters implies there's some global headquarters that you are a part of, when in fact, each national unit in the movement is independent, it sets its own goals. So we're not going to use the word chapters anymore as we create our future. They wanted a much broader co-creation process and ownership of this new structure by everyone. They recommended that we create some kind of global decision-making body for those things that have to be done globally, that is led from the majority world, that is the global South, and where every country has a voice, so that rather than decisions being made in Washington or any one place. They did want shared services, such as the domestic resource mobilization course that many of you have participated in, other shared services that can make the national associations more efficient and more effective. They wanted not one size fits all for the national associations, but a menu of possible national structures, whether it's an independent association or an independent working group within an existing network, or it's independent but hosted within another organization, a menu of possible structures. And mostly what we want is we will rely on continued strong financial support from the Hunger Project and from many other funders. So we want to create a structure, as we mentioned, that can attract funding to do the very important work of building our national associations for community-led development in each country, the ability of them to have staff coordinators if they want, to do activities if they want. So we need more money in somehow to make that happen. So we are going to do 2 breakout groups. If you are a French speaker, do not join a breakout group. You will have your discussion in the main room, and the recording will stay on. And then each of us facilitating other breakout groups in English will do our own recordings. And and what we want to do in this first breakout group for 20 minutes is to discuss what we have gotten out of participation, what we have gained, what we value, what has being part of MCLD meant to you personally this past year. So we want to take 20 minutes to discuss that so that we are building our future on our strengths and the values that we already have. We don't want to lose those. So I will stop sharing my screen.
Pour la question, qu'est-ce qu'on attend du MCLD pour le futur? Pour moi, ce que je vois comme potentiel, c'est de joindre the network of networks, ce qui était dans la présentation de John aussi, qu'il y a d'autres réseaux avec le même objectif qui peuvent aussi s'associer pour avoir un plus grand réseau encore ensemble, pour former ensemble un plus grand réseau. Donc, c'est un peu ce que moi je vois. Comme je sais qu'ici au Burkina, il y a plusieurs qui sont dans le même esprit, même vision, qui pouvaient aussi se joindre comme réseau ou bien comme membre.
Oui, c'est vraiment un excellent point et c'est jamais une mauvaise idée d'avoir un plus grand réseau et de se connecter. En fait, nous avons eu un cours sur le network weaving il y a quelques mois et oui, on a appris beaucoup de choses de ce petit cours.
Oui.
Okay. Okay, I think we're all back now. Does anyone want to share something particular that came out of that breakout group with everyone else? The answer to that question is yes. So please, someone.
I think I'll speak for our group, and something that, a question that was posed by Anne that really stood out to me is, what is in terms of community-led development, what is the role of the outsider? And that, it's an important question to ask yourself, and that, there can be those catalytic roles for outsiders, but you have to really be thoughtful and have those conversations with your community to understand what that role could be. And so that's something that was a very important point for me to hear and take.
Oh, that's a beautiful point. I was once in a conversation with people who are like American psychiatrists, and they had been sent to Rwanda after the genocide because people needed help. And the local doctors said, we had to send them home. I mean, they wanted to go into darkened rooms and talk about problems. We know that the way to mental health involves sunshine, drumming, and dancing. And they didn't understand that, those outsiders. So, there's sometimes when leaving is the best contribution. Who else would like to share something from their breakout group?
John, 1 second. I think we are having a problem with the French translation.
Oh.
People can't hear Paul.
Aha, and I don't see. Sarah, are you host, and can you fix it?
Yeah, I'm working on it. I think just Paul, are you in the French channel?
Oh, wait a minute. There's a button that says, yeah, I see under more, I see the translation is there.
Mm-hmm.
It's there, but it says its interpretation is off right now. So.
Uh-huh. So, Anne, do you know what to do?
Let me see. Let's see. French. Oh, interpretation of French.
Yes. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Paul. I heard you on the French channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I needed to click on the French button here.
Oh, wait. I hear him on the English, though.
Okay, c'est bon, on peut y aller.
I think if you don't go to the English channel, you just go to interpretation off. Paul, can you say something?
Oui, c'est bon. Vous
Oh,
m'entendez?
yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
No, we're hearing you in the English channels.
In the interest of time, John, because we will be going into breakout soon, maybe Paul can do a translation alongside for now, and
Okay.
we can figure out during breakout time what's going on, maybe.
Okay, very
Wait,
good.
try again because I turned it off and on, so maybe it will work again.
Huh.
Maybe.
I think it is because he's talking and it's not coming out in English.
And it is coming in French, I checked. So we're good.
Nice job, Sarah.
Great.
We will overcome. So anyone else want to share from their group? I know our group had a great discussion. Istila was sharing from Ethiopia, and Steve both had great success working with local governments, and also sharing their methodology with others. And we had Jude speaking about the success that's starting getting the 150 acres for a new farming association. And so it was a good discussion. And then we had people who were brand new to the movement joining. So that was good.
Can I? Oh,
yep.
I would just wonder, Daniel Mwansa from Zambia, he's studying community development and he's also trying to put theory into practice. And Daniel, I wonder if you wanted to say anything else about that? It's a very good position you're in.
That now maybe that now maybe I wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't love to say anything. Let me just first of all listen to what other people are going to say.
Great. Thank you so much, Daniel, and thank you for joining. And we were telling in the discussion that as a person who's studying community-led development and also doing community-led development in his country, at the movement, we try and be very useful in service to people like you so that you can find your peers and find the support that you need in order to develop your ideas, support your practice. So thanks for joining, Daniel.
Yes.
I wonder if anybody from our group wants to speak on the ideas and discussions we had. Well, I know Paul can't because he is interpreting for us.
Right. So that just basically leaves me. Okay. So our group was talking about what we kind of got out of the being in an MCLD group, and I talked a little bit about how it's kind of grounding in some ways to be able to talk about MCLD. Sometimes you end up working in kind of like a silo and feel like you've gone insane a little bit. Yeah, so that's been really helpful for us to kind of bounce ideas off of and be part of working groups and kind of feel like you're motivated and moving along with this. Paul also brought up a really nice point that I liked, was that it's also a very friendly place. Like in any platform or group you join, it's always like nice to have those around you that are, you know, pleasant and are interested in the work and motivated. And I thought that was also something I hadn't really considered, but it's very true. It's a very welcoming feeling inside the movement.
That's wonderful to hear, Chad. I know one of the feelings that I heard from so many people at the beginning of the movement was they felt very alone and misunderstood because all the donors were speaking a totally different language. And they were frustrated that there was no funding for community-led development. And now that's starting to change.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Anything from the French group that wants to be shared?
Yes.
Pascal?
Yeah, in the French group, we share that at the period of COVID-19, as mentioned by John in the introduction, was very helpful in establishing our chapter because we develop a partnership with many stakeholders, including ministries of health, ministries of decentralization, Ministry of USAID, UNICEF, the Association of National Commune of Benin, the House of Civil Society, PACIP, many platforms come together. And it was a very difficult, very useful establishing our partner, our chapter. And the result by that time is we have been able to contribute to the national planning for a strategic plan for COVID-19 to handle COVID-19 in Benin. That could not be able, that would not be doable in normal time. People will say, okay, we could handle it ourselves. But that time when we step there, people say, okay, we were waiting for you. What could be your contribution? And I don't know how to keep the same enthusiasm and motivation during normal time. And that was a question we need to look at while moving forward.
That's a great point, Pascal. I really appreciate that, because that's a good point to discuss in the next breakout. Go ahead, Pascal, sorry.
Yeah, and my suggestion will be why the CLD is needed, MCLD is needed, and one thing we need to document and share, it's during challenging time, when we don't have any resources available and we need to struggle to co-create a way to move forward together. We can see many people available, enthusiastic, contributing by that time. But we could not wish that we have challenging time, but we need to share at least how it was useful in establishing chapter and have everyone on board. That is one thing we.
Good point. Okay. So we're going to go into the second breakout group, and this breakout group is about the future of MCLD. And we want to discuss what you would like from MCLD in the future. What is your vision for what MCLD could achieve in your country in the next 5 years? How do you see your country, colleagues, your team contributing in the region, in your region, and globally? What kind of, and please think big, give yourself the freedom to really think what would make a difference if your team in your country was really had the resources, had the skills, had the anything you see is needed to make an impact. So that is the topic for the next second discussion. And again, if you are Francophone, stay here. And if you are Anglophone, click join to the breakout groups when Sarah tells us to go to breakout groups. Okay, well, we are now back in the main room. If Paul and Sarah can do magic tricks to have translation work. It looks like it's working. If you are hearing it in French from Paul, give me a thumbs up so I know it's working. Pascal, is it the French working?
I don't hear anything on the French channel. I'm on the French channel, John.
Okay.
But I think we'll have to go.
Whatever you did before.
Paul is back.
Oh, Paul is back. Okay.
Yeah, now he's back.
Well, thank you, everyone. I know in my group, we had some very practical, I was thinking broad visions, but people had some very practical strategies moving forward. to transform INGOs, to transform donors, how to make that happen. I mean, it was very inspiring. Anyone want to share something that came out of the breakout? Asip ONG? You have your hand up? Or someone else want to share from their group? You can just unmute and talk. Oh, Jacob is having to leave. Bye, Jacob. Okay, we have an important then last piece of business for this call. First, I want to thank everyone for their co-creation here. And this is just the start. There's more co-creation to come. And to tell us about that more co-creation to come, I will turn to Gunjan.
Thanks, John. So yes, this has been a fascinating series of breakouts and discussions. We got a lot of material from it, but this is not going to be all that we hear and say about this. I know many people in our group had a lot more to say. And so for us, this whole process of transformation has to be done collectively. And we have designed a few steps to enable us to do that and to ensure that the future that we are creating for MCLD is not limited to the vision of a few individuals, but is built on this collective vision that we have, an aspiration that we have for the movement. So you are going to, in about 10 days' time, receive a link to a survey. This is going to go out to all members of MCLD. Whether or not they're active members. We are going to reach out to each and every one who is there, who's part of our mailing list and is a member of MCLD, to ask you some very specific questions around not just your vision for what MCLD should do, or your vision for what we should be like as an organization, but also specifically around what are some of the things that matter most to you when it comes to organizational structure. So we're going to go a little deeper around what should MCLD as an organization look like? What should this network of networks look like? And we are going to get feedback from all of you through that survey. Now, in addition to that, because we recognize that writing is not the most comfortable mode for everybody, and also sometimes it's difficult to fit answers into surveys, especially creative answers, and we know there's a lot of creativity amongst our membership. So what we're going to do is we are going to organize a series of listening cafes. Now, the way these listening cafes will work is that we'll set out a calendar with a number of dates and times for 30-minute sessions. Some of those sessions will be just for CBOs. Some of them will be just for INGOs. Some of them will be mixed. Some of them will be topical. And there will be all of this, both the survey as well as the listening cafes will be in English and French. So there's the two primary languages for most of our members, and we will have everything in those two languages at least, maybe Spanish if there is a demand from our Mexico chapter and other Spanish-speaking members. And we will invite all of you, both people who are very active or people that you know in your network who have been part of MCLD but have been more silent, to be a part of those cafes. You can sign up for any date, time, subject, or grouping that you are comfortable with. And those listening cafes would be the place where you can share without the boundaries of structures and questions what you would like MCLD to look like in the future. Those are the two steps that we're going to intentionally take over the next few months. So we'll have the listening cafes over January and February, and we'll have the surveys going out in about 10 days time, and there'll be at least a month or so for people to talk about it, think about it. And then we are, sorry, John,
go ahead.
One last thing that I wanted to say was that we, and probably John will speak more to this, but we will not just be listening, but we will actually, in the spirit of accountability and transparency, we will be sharing back what we are hearing, the direction that we are taking, based on what we are hearing from our members. So we will John, do you want to talk about our process of sharing back with all the members where and how we are?
Yes, I mean, we're going to be doing special newsletters. We're going to be putting updates on the website. You saw that the co-creation banner is the main banner on mcld.org now. So after we digest what we heard today, we will be putting up an update on that. And then, so our goal is to keep this process as transparent, and so that you, as you talk with others, have ready access to what we've done so far.
And the last thing is that while we'll be sharing out where we are, the progress and stuff, but we're not using people's names or organization names. So you should feel free to share what you honestly want the movement to do and be. And if you feel uncomfortable in doing it in a listening cafe setting with a few other people who you may not know, or if you feel uncomfortable doing that in a survey, feel free to reach out to any of us directly, and we can find a time to listen to you. But we really do want to hear from all our members, everybody who makes the movement what it is today, to see what do you like it to become and how.
Great. Okay, well, thank you again. Thank you, Paul, for doing translation. Thank you, Sarah, for also doing translation. And thank you all for bringing your creativity, your dreams, your visions, and your experience at what's been accomplished so far to build a MCLD of the future. So with that, if everyone wants